get this party started!
For mainstream filmmaking, story is everything, and a story needs to start somewhere. And usually, it starts with an inciting event.
Dear Mr. Potter, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
How do filmmakers use inciting events as the spark for a narrative? What techniques do we see again and again in these pivotal moments? This is What is an Inciting Incident? Before we begin, remember to subscribe to StudioBinder and click the bell to stay up to date on all our newest filmmaking videos. We will be spoiling the following movies. Consider this our inciting incident. Let's get started. In film, an inciting incident is the event that gets the plot moving. In his screenwriting manual, Into the Woods, producer John York writes, "If a story is once upon a time, something happened, then the inciting incident is the something that kickstarts a story." Screenwriting scholar Robert McKee notes that the inciting event is the moment of profound change to the main character's world. He explains, "The inciting incident radically upsets the balance of forces in the protagonist's life." Though today we associate the term with filmmaking, inciting incidents can be found in stories that existed long before the medium. In Homer's Odyssey, the inciting incident is arguably when Odysseus leaves Troy and begins his journey home. These plot points come in many shapes and sizes. Some are obvious, and some are more subtle and debatable. Not all films have inciting incidents. Many movies that are less focused on story or take an avant-garde approach to narrative may omit the turning point. For most mainstream films, however, the inciting event is crucial. Let's look more closely at what should happen in the pivotal moment. Although an inciting incident is of massive importance to a narrative, it doesn't have to be as dramatic as a spouse's death. Writes York, "They need not all begin with big bangs. They can simply be the first crack that allows the daylight in."
부잣집 과외야. 돈도 많이 줘. 왜 애도 착해. 나 교환학생 가 있을 동안 잘 좀 보살펴줘.
In romantic comedies, the inciting incident is typically when the two leads meet each other, referred to as the meet cute.
I'll roll down the window.
In The Apartment, the inciting incident is even more subtle. Bud and Fran already know each other, and the plot point is simply Fran being introduced into the film.
Going on?
Oh, excuse me. Hi, 27, please. Drive carefully. You're carrying precious cargo. I mean, manpower-wise.
She and Bud will go on to have a complicated romantic relationship, which is the core of the story.
So they'll shoot me. Like a horse.
Please, Miss Kubelik, you gotta promise me you won't do anything foolish.
Who'd care?
I would.
Why can't I ever fall in love with somebody nice like you?
Yeah, well, that's the way it crumbles, cookie-wise. Go to sleep.
An inciting event can have more various effects on a character's world. Sometimes it makes things go from good to bad. In The Conjuring, the inciting incident shifts the Perrons' excitement for their new house into terror with one of the first big scares of the film.
What happened?
Oh my God! Oh,
This leaves the rest of the first act to start building a solution to their troubles. Introducing the Warrens.
Everything you see in here is either haunted, cursed, or has been used in some kind of ritualistic practice. Nothing's a toy. Not even the toy monkey. Don't touch it.
Conversely, an inciting incident can mark a positive change for a character.
Wakanda forever!
In Bruce Almighty, Bruce is bestowed with the powers of God. And while the rest of the first act shows Bruce experimenting with his newfound gift, it also hints at the troubles to come. Bruce may not be using his powers in the most responsible ways.
Whoa, nice car, man.
Yeah, it gets me from A to B.
While an inciting incident can be anything that jump-starts a story and prompts a protagonist's reaction, many of them can fall into a few different categories. There is the personal loss, where someone close to a protagonist dies or disappears. In Midsummer, the inciting event is when Danny learns her sister and parents are dead, prompting her journey through grief that is at the core of the narrative.
You guys are like my family. You're like my real, actual family.
Danny?
Mysteries and thrillers may begin with a discovery of hidden knowledge. In The Bourne Identity, this is when Jason learns he has combat skills.
Hey, Action, hoch!
Many fantasy films and epics get started with a call to adventure, like when Luke receives a message from Leia.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
What's this?
He's begun his journey from lowly farmhand to Jedi. In stories such as these, the protagonist will be reluctant to embark on their mission after the inciting event.
I can't do this.
Joseph Campbell referred to this story beat as the refusal of the call. In Escape from New York, for example, the inciting incident is the president's abduction.
You touch me, he dies. If you're not in the air in 30 seconds, he dies. If you come back in, he dies.
When Snake Plissken learns the government wants his help, he refuses.
I'm making you an offer.
Bullshit.
Straight, just like I said.
I'll think about it.
No time. Give me an answer.
Get a new president.
Until he's given no other choice.
We'll burn out the charges if you have the president.
What if I'm a little late?
No more Hartford Summit, and no more Snake Plissken.
Some stories get kick-started with an attack. In Panic Room, screenwriter David Koepp uses a home invasion as the inciting incident.
Tough for a little girl. I've got the mother. Give me.
For many horror movies, the inciting event is the evidence of evil, where the audience is introduced to the entity that the characters will be going up against.
Helvete, kom der vekk. Det har ikke en bikkje i. Det er en slags ting. Det imiterer en bikkje. Det er ikke virkelig. Kom der vekk, idioter!
What were they doing flying that low? Shooting at a dog. At us.
Stir crazy.
Cabin fever, who knows?
Maybe we had war with Norway.
Because the inciting event starts a story, it stands to reason that it occurs near the beginning of a work. Let's delve deeper into when it should happen. The inciting incident is often referred to in the context of a three-act structure. Most textbooks on the subject argue that the plot point should occur halfway through the first act. The first act is about the first 25% of a film, and so the inciting incident should happen roughly 12.5% into a script. While this may sound overly exact, many Hollywood films follow this rule. Stephen Zalian's screenplay for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is unusually long at 165 pages. 12.5% of 165 is about 20 pages. And sure enough, the inciting incident of the film happens on page 20. Wenger lays out the core mystery of the film for Blomqvist.
She was bright, curious, a winning combination in any person.
And beautiful.
Yeah.
Something happened to her.
Someone in the family murdered Harriet. And for the past 40 years, has been trying to drive me insane.
This begins Blomqvist's search for the killer. Screenwriting expert Robert McKee has noted that sometimes the inciting incident is split into two distinct events: the setup and payoff. In Jaws, for example, the setup for the inciting event is the girl's death in the opening scene, establishing the antagonist of the film. The payoff is Brody encountering the body. He is now on a mission to find the killer shark. If an inciting incident gets a story started, why not have it on page 1? The answer is that a film typically needs to first establish the key elements of a story, as well as set the baseline world for the protagonist, so that the inciting event feels like a disruption.
Martin, you gonna shut down the beaches on your own authority?
Well, what other authority do I need?
Technically, you need a civic ordinance or a resolution by a board of selectmen.
That's just going by the book. We're really a little anxious that you're rushing into something serious here. It's your first summer, you know.
What does that mean?
I'm only trying to say that Amity is a summer town. We need summer dollars.
Up, for example, uses time before the inciting incident to tell us the story of Carl's life, helping the audience build empathy for a grumpy and lonely old man.
Let me take care of that for you.
Get away from our mailbox! Sir,
By the time Carl hits the construction worker, we understand why he is the way he is. It is equally important that the inciting incident doesn't immediately segue the story into its second act. Before the protagonist embarks on their journey, the audience should see how the plot point has changed their world.
Sorry, Mr. Fredrickson. You don't seem like a public menace to me. Take this. The guys from Shady Oaks will be by to pick you up in the morning, okay?
After the inciting incident in Children of Men, where Theo is given a mission by a group of activists, including his wife, writers Alfonso Cuarón and Timothy Sexton use the rest of the first act to show Theo reluctantly completing his task. He can still turn back. It is only when Theo meets Key in the break into Act 2 that he has fully involved himself in the group's mission.
I'm scared. Please help me.
An inciting incident isn't only on the page. Once a filmmaker identifies the moment, they will often emphasize its importance with filmmaking techniques. Directors will use a myriad of techniques to indicate to an audience that an inciting event is occurring. Baz Luhrmann uses blocking along with romantic music and production design to highlight the inciting incident in Romeo and Juliet. When the two first meet, they are separated by a fish tank. The tank gives the tight close-ups a visual dynamism, and their faces are obscured, adding to the allure of the introduction. The tank also provides a physical blockade, symbolizing that they are star-crossed lovers. Lerman explains his approach to the scene.
You know, in the play, Romeo and Juliet sort of meet through a curtain because it was a theatre convention. How could that be a surprising way of meeting? And Craig Pierce and I are riding in Miami. We went out and I went to the bathroom. It was a place called The Dome. And I came out, there was a fish tank. And I'm washing my hands and I looked, there's a girl. She was like combing her hair. And exactly how it is in the movie, this Dome nightclub had a fish tank separating the boys and the girls, kind of chambers.
Madam, your mother calls.
In The Hunger Games, Gary Ross uses sound design to emphasize the gravity of the story's inciting event. Prim's selection prompts near silence.
Primrose Everdeen.
And all we hear are her footsteps as she approaches the stage. This makes Katniss's loud pronouncement all the more stark.
Prim! Prim! I volunteer! I volunteer as tribute!
Ross explains the importance of this beat in the story.
It's the first moment that you see kind of what Katniss is completely made of, that she would rather die than subject her little sister to this, which is really, really beautiful. It's also the seed, the first little shoot coming up of who she is. We see who she's going to become ultimately.
Cameron Crowe, meanwhile, uses music and editing in Almost Famous to show that his character has begun a new journey. Rock and roll blares as various shots of the record are superimposed on William's face. It's clear he has fallen in love with the genre.
Where's that little man?
In The Witch, Robert Eggers uses a simple camera move to illustrate the importance of the inciting incident.
Boo!
Eggers even notes the move in the script. When Samuel disappears, the camera tilts up from where he was lying to reveal the woods and the evil within it. It is this forest which will bedevil the family for much of the rest of the film.
Hitchhiker.
Should we pick him up?
Oh, yeah, man.
Toby Hooper, meanwhile, draws attention to his inciting incident in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre through shot size. When the friend group sees a hitchhiker on the side of the road, Hooper cuts out to an extreme wide shot, building suspense to the reveal of the stranger, and highlighting that these characters are in the middle of nowhere. No one can help them if something goes wrong.
I think we just picked up Dracula.
An inciting incident is arguably the most important story beat in a film. It's the spark that culminates in the roaring fire of the climax at the other end of the movie. Without it, the story simply never starts. Start your next story with StudioBinder screenwriting software. And don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications to watch our videos on all things filmmaking. With every beginning comes an ending, and this is ours. See you next time.